Howdy folks, welcome back to another exciting video. Today we're working on this immaculate Buick LeSabre. It's currently sitting in a junkyard because the previous owner unfortunately passed away and the estate sold all of his vehicles. Now there were 6 left. I ended up buying all of them because I have a soft spot for cars about to die, and Buick LeSabre was one of them. And of course it's jet black, red interior, and has the nail head underneath the hood, and I love it. So stick around to the end of the video. We're gonna take this thing to the shop, see if we can get it to run and drive for the first time in a very, very long time. Hey folks, a couple quick announcements. One, I'll be attending a car show September 9th at a local church. You need to come out, free food, free drinks. And if you want to see some of the cars that have been on the channel, you can see a lot of those because I'm going to bring a few out there. The link is down below for the Facebook event page. Also, Challenger t-shirts are back. Pre-order. They go to July 31st. You don't want to miss out on that. The link is also in the description below. Do not miss out because after July 31st, no idea when they'll come back. So make sure you get those while you can. Also, I call this engine a nail head quite a few times, but it's actually a Buick small block, so excuse my ignorance, I just didn't know. So let's get back to the video. Well folks, the Buick is here, and we figured out based on the VIN, it's a 1965 LeSabre. Got the window rolled down so you can see inside the interior, and man does it actually look really good, surprisingly. Like it's a lot better than we were expecting, that's for sure. So what the plan is here, we're gonna take it up to the shop and see if we can make this thing run. Pop the hood, and guess what? The engine's there. I don't really know much about it, but I can tell you that it is some kind of nail head, and I really like the nail heads. Used to have one in a 55 Buick, so let's go 10 years newer and start with this one. So I'm excited to work with it. We've got the tractor ready and a Briar ready. He's gonna drive it for us, and we're gonna see if we can get it up to the shop without hurting anything. Luckily, the bumper's already been ripped off, so I don't have to worry about that being a problem. It's a big old car though, look at that. It's a monster. Are they all rolling? Got the front end of the car sitting inside and we got it put on dollies. We're gonna try to push the rest of the car in and maybe jack it up a little bit with the bucket, and then we'll be able to get the car inside. I mean, the tires were already shot, so it really didn't matter, but at least we're in here. You know, they come off of the rim on that one, but it don't matter. Don't matter at all. Well, this hood hinge right here is bent sideways. Took the hood springs out, and we'll try and straighten this out a little bit. That way the hood can go up and down without having to stand on it. Whoa, did you see that spark?
Yeah, I saw it.
See if it'll go down now.
Kind of.
What is that? Why is it like that?
Has a lift kit.
Just for airflow, I guess. Pick it back up. I think maybe you got to push in on it. And then, yeah, that's what it is. And that side will go in, but that side's kind of seizing up. But it at least goes up and down now. Oh. I think think it's all these twigs and trees we got growing out of the cow that are our problem now. Got it? All right, let's go up on the roof. There we go. Oh, right. Look at all that room. Now we're working with a little bit more daylight. As you can see, we can see. Now, we've got a nail head, and I believe that it is 300 cubic inches, if I'm not mistaken. I think the 340 came out in 1966. So unfortunately, we've got the smaller version, but a Buick nail head nonetheless. But we'll have to verify what size it is actually. But Briar, if you'd like to do the honors, let's see what's up under our air cleaner lid. We've got a 2-barrel. And it actually doesn't look that bad. That's impressive. I don't know what like type or brand it is, but it's at least functioning, or it's complete. Does a throttle linkage work or anything? Not quite. Well, that's okay. Yeah, we'll just spray it all down and let it soak. I've had them unfreeze themselves before. It's all in one piece, so that's good. May have to buy a rebuild kit for it, but that's neither here nor there for right at this exact moment. What we're worried about is trying to make it spin over and run. We gotta see, is this thing locked up? Does it have oil? Will it even get power? Does the starter work? Lots of things. We don't have a key. We don't have a lot of different parts, but at least under the hood, besides all of our vines that we have grown up in here, it's complete. It's trying to move, but it's stuck.
Speaking of the floor, there is no floor.
There's no floor? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Is it bad?
It's just maybe a small hole, but that big.
Oh yeah, we don't even need to see that. That's fine. Since we don't have a key, Briar's gonna pull the ignition switch, and I'm gonna get all the plant life out from under the hood. That kind of shows you how long this thing's been sitting when all this has been growing up under here. I mean, literal vines in this car. Ow! God, these thorns, man. That one's under the tire. We've got the ignition switch pulled. We've actually just taken the plug out. We're gonna see if I can get any kind of power to the ignition switch, as in starting the car itself. No. I guess, did none of these do it? Huh, what does it do? That sounds relay-ish. Well, anyway. What if the radio turns on? The answer is no. So here's what happened. Once we couldn't get the power on the ignition switch to work, I tried it at the terminals down on the starter at the solenoid. It shot a giant fireball out of the starter, and here we are. A brand new one, or at least a brand new reman, is about 50 bucks. So just decided to break down and do that instead of having to deal with this one, because I could put a new solenoid on it. That's 30 bucks, so why not just get a whole thing for 50? If I'm gonna have to take it out, I might as well just go ahead and put a good one in there. So we're gonna wait till tomorrow, get that starter in place, and we're ready to go. Well, I say that, but we're not very ready to go, are we, Briar?
It's not looking like it.
Briar's gonna handle our spark plug situations real quick. He's gonna change them out. We've got 8 brand new AC Delcos, and we're gonna see if this thing will get any kind of spark. I'm curious to see how this first one looks. It's going to be kind of an indication of what the rest of the engine's going to be. Oh, well, you know what? That's really not that bad. I've seen way worse spark and actually run. So maybe this engine isn't as bad as we thought. In other news, we got the throttle linkage freed up. A little PB blaster went a long way, so that's working. I'm waiting on the choke to kind of start doing chokey things. And then the shifter linkage was frozen up. We got that to free up because there's like I think there's like a bushing or a bearing inside the column, and it was squeaking really bad. Or once we sprayed that down with some PB Blaster, Briar worked it back and forth, and it came back to life.
What does it take to be a Buick? It takes a car that makes you feel 10 feet tall. Like the first week you own your LeSabre, notice how different things are. People will think you were promoted before you actually were. When you go out with friends, you'll go in your car.
Alrighty, Briar's got all the spark plugs in. I have a new starter here, or at least new to me, and I'm going to crawl up under the car and attempt to put it back in. And I'm telling you what, GM starters, the way they put the solenoid on the starter just makes it kind of awkward. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We still got to crawl up under there and get it done, so let's get it done. There's a new starter, and we've got our triggers run to it. So we're going to see, will this thing actually do anything, and spin the engine over. Heck yeah. Let me peel myself out of the floor. That sounded good. Look at this. Ooh. GM starters, man, I'm telling you, they're not fun. But that engine spins over, and it sounded like it had really good compression. Briar, you took the distributor cap off, right?
It's ready to go.
Let's check it out and see what we got going on underneath. Just want to check out the points. See if they look any good. Now that we've got some spinny action, we're going to see if we got any coil action. Maybe some sparkies going on down here. Man, I just love how these distributors have the weights and the springs up top. That's just so nice to adjust your curve. Alright, there's our contacts down there. I don't have any like coil wire hooked up or nothing, but let's go see if I can open it up. Might have to spin it over. Yeah, I can't really see it that well. Tell you what, before I even do anything, let's just hook a... Where is the coil on this thing? Oh, it's right there, right in front of my face. Let me run a jumper wire to that right there, and we're going to see if there's any spark at the points. I'm going to pull the positive terminal off real quick. And, of course, it's covered in rust. But I've got this jumper wire here with a little terminal on the end and an alligator clip. We'll just run it straight to the battery and see if we have any spark when we hook it up. And this car really needs an ignition switch of sorts. We don't have a key for it, so that's why we're going to have to hotwire it. But we're at least going to try it. And if it does have a spark and actually does want to run, then we'll see if we can rig up some kind of actual key for it that's a little more permanent than just me running an alligator clip to the battery. Let's see if I can open them up a little bit, check for a little sparky. I don't even know if it's got a ground. Oh, yep, we got some spark. Let's see if the contacts work. Probably best just go ahead and change that out. That's no big deal. I've already got a set of contacts, so let's pull those old ones out and we'll put new ones in. Stop! Anyway, you didn't see that. Here's our new contacts here. There we go. The old ones actually look really good, but they weren't sparking any, so we just went ahead and said, forget it. I'm going to put new ones on. Get those points looking pretty close. I'm going to try that. We're not getting any spark, so Briar is taking the old coil and disconnecting it. We're going to add a new one in there just to see if it works. And if it does, we'll replace it. But we were getting at least fire over to the coil, but the contacts wouldn't spark, so I'm just wondering if something with the coil is messed up. Seen anything, are you? It's hot. It surely is hot. Maybe the gap's too big still. I mean, that looks good to me. Let me try closing it even more. Oh, that's what it was. I had it wide open. Now see if you can see the spark down here in the distributor. Ready? We're gonna check for spark. Go for it. Yeah, so we got spark at the plugs. Now we're gonna fill it with gas and see if it'll sputter at all. Does this choke ever come free?
I couldn't get it.
Nope, but the throttle linkage is. So I've got some gas right here. We're gonna fill up this float bowl as much as we can. And then we're gonna see if it'll sputter. Or heck, it might even run for all we know. You got any accelerator? I don't hear anything. Let's give it a try anyway. We'll stand back. If that sound like a knock, was that a knock? Please tell me it's not knocking. Oh, you know what it is? The torque converter shield. I never bolted it back on, so hopefully that's what that is. At least I hope that's what that is. It's gotta be, because I never bolted it back on. I don't think we're getting enough fuel. We might have to just go ahead and go to the electric pump and see if that fixes it. Because I filled it up a good bit, but I don't know if it's even enough to, stay running. But it's sputtered to life at least. So I'm gonna try it one more time. If it doesn't work this time, we'll go over to the electric pump. Man, I don't know. That doesn't sound like a knock to me. But something's rubbing somewhere. Let me try it. I don't have a choke for it. Let me get this come out of here. There we go. Let me try and choke it. I think we got a, wonder if we got a plug wire or something, because it's backfiring up through the carburetor. Might need to check the firing order real quick. When it's backfiring like that, it makes me think that the timing events aren't right. All right, we had a couple of spark plug wires crossed up, but now that we have our firing order sorted out, we're gonna try one more time. Give it a little throttle. It's still doing it, ain't it? So we may not be getting enough fuel. I have no idea how much is in here. We'll try this again, like I said, and if it don't work this time, electric fuel pump time. I just want to hear it come to life, just for a split second. I ain't helping none. To the floor. I can see it building up oil pressure. There's a manual gauge, and I can see the oil going up to the gauge back there. Okay, fine. Electric pump it is. All right, Briar, hook up our electric pump. Let's see if it actually will fill up. I'm curious to see if this carburetor's any good. Probably not, but, we can at least dream. Oh, I hear it. Whoa! Unhook it, unhook it. We got a stuck needle and seat. Or stuck float or something. So now it's just pouring into the carburetor. Whoa! Okay, that's not good. Oh yeah, it's mad now. Might have to wait for it to evaporate. I believe in you. transmission fluid. We're bleeding. The hose is split, so we need to fix that. Dude, that ran actually pretty well, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That was surprising. And it smoked a little bit. Woo! Yeah, Buick. Something smells like it's on fire. That was awesome. Wow, it was quiet too. That was impressive. Yeah, something smells like it's on fire. But that's okay. Man, you know what? It don't matter. It don't matter at all. But I think what's happening is there's a shield underneath that covers up the torque converter, and I never put that back on because I was waiting to see if the starter was any good. And I think if I put that back on, that's going to fix our whatever sound that is issue, because it doesn't sound like a knock. Usually a knock is, I don't know, it just sounds less tinny than that. So that's something rubbing, I'm pretty sure. But wow, that fired up, and it actually idled for a few minutes there, or not, a few seconds I should say. Okay, well now we have a plan of action. We've got to figure out what to do with that needle and seat. But we've got a good foundation for a start, and Dixie loves it. What do you think, Dixie? She don't want to be on camera. She's a little camera shy. Man, this is the first time I've messed with a nail head probably since 2015. And I had one right when I was a freshman in college, and I loved that car, but I never got to do anything with it. We got it to run, and this is before I even started really making YouTube videos, but I didn't do anything else with it after that. I ended up trading it for an Impala, and I wish I had another nail head. Now I've got one, and gosh, it ran pretty well. I'm impressed, and it really didn't smoke that bad. I hadn't seen the footage yet, but I didn't see a whole lot of smoke coming out of the rear. Like, that was really cool for a car that's been sitting that long. You can see where the spot it cleared off on the floor, but you know, for something that looks like this, and I'm not really that certain, but I think the engine's been out of this car, because when we pulled the spark plugs, they had blue paint on them, and the starter had blue paint on it. So I'm thinking the engine was pulled at some point. Not sure if it was just regasketed or did they rebuild it. I don't know. But Breyer said he thinks that he only crossed over one set of plug wires. So I'm thinking that if that was the case, we probably could have had a misfire. They couldn't figure it out, and they just said, forget it, we give up. So Breyer right now is changing out those transmission cooler lines because it has an external cooler and it started to leak. But the fluid, man, does it look good. Looks way better than the Falcon we were dealing with last time. It's not burnt, it's not milky or anything, no water in it. So that's a good sign. If we can get it to sit here and idle for a little while, then we'll try and put it in gear. So the needle and seat or float or something is gummed up. It doesn't want to work. You saw gas shoot out of this thing like a rocket. I'm gonna take this hammer and just start tapping around there and see if I can free anything up. Now that we've properly rebuilt the carburetor, let me hook it back up. Look at there. Easy peasy. Sometimes you just have to smack stuff with a hammer and it'll work. Well, I say we try to fire it up again and see if it'll actually idle this time with some fuel in it. That scared me. I guess let me go ahead and just put that cover back on, because that's all I know it could be. Unless it's something catastrophic, but that's all I know. I tightened up that cover, and we'll see if the noise goes away. I don't know what that noise is. Obviously that didn't fix it. So when Breyer, off camera, Breyer was spinning the car over, and it sounded like the noise, whatever it is coming from up here. It's not the fan. I don't see any pulleys misaligned. I mean, it just sounds like it's coming from this side of the engine. I'm gonna try and keep it to run. This thing's not happy. Okay, hear me out. A few years ago, DeBoss Garage rebuilt this Pontiac, and they had put a windage tray in it, and it made that exact same sound. I'm wondering if like the crank, the rotating assembly is rubbing against something internally, because that does not sound like rod knock to me. I'm adamant, I don't think that's rod knock. I don't think it's, I don't know. You know, based on the fact that the engine's been pulled out and somebody had put it together, I'm wondering, did they do something to it and then bolt that back in and then didn't check for interference? And then when they put the engine back together, they're like, oh, it's got rod knock, don't even worry about it. I really wonder if that's the case. Gosh, it has a hard stop to it, don't it? That's just weird. Scary. Try and just clearance whatever that sound is. Like it's in the oil pan. I almost kind of want to pull the oil pan off and see if that fixes it, or if like what the case may be. See how hard it stops when it shuts off? Sounds like it's down here. I think it's in the oil pan. Whoa! Oh gosh, a little liquid.
Ow! Get out of here.
Oh, hot oil?
Yeah, it was hot.
Ooh, gosh, it's thin too, ain't it? But it was making 45 PSI of oil pressure on that. Well, it's like 20 at idle, wasn't it?
Yeah. I
have it on good authority. I think this engine is actually really good. It's just hitting something inside the oil pan. You saw me checking it. And we've got the dumb idea to pull the oil pan out, and we're gonna try it. So Briar's draining the oil right now. We're gonna wait on a gasket, obviously. Well, I guess we don't have to. We can go ahead and pull it, but we're gonna let the oil drain. We gotta pull the center link with the tie rods and everything, and also the idler arm on this side. It's actually pulled out of the frame. I'll show you guys in a minute what it looks like, but it doesn't look good. So we're probably gonna have to fix that, pull some tie rods, and drop the oil pan. It's gonna be really, really fun, Briar.
Hooray.
Yeah.
Feeling more swinging room. I'm getting showered. Yeah! I didn't even break the boot. What? That's unheard of. Let's not lose that. Hey. I started loosening these up, then I realized how many threads there were. I said, you know what? Let's just not. And we'll just swing you out of the way. And now all we have left is that one. And I think it will. It might not droop, but we can try it. Oh, did I do it? Ah! Please get out of the way enough. I don't want to take any more out. I think we can get by with that. If you turn the wheel back the other way, it'll kind of pull it that way, so we're good. Look, can you see that? That's the idler arm. That's what holds all your steering together. We're gonna jack the engine up. Oh man. Well, we're gonna undo a motor mount here. Well, here's our oil pan. And look at there. That's where our crank was rubbing it. Looks like, for some reason, there's a dent right there, and the crankshaft was just smacking against it, and it was about to wear a hole in it. So it's a good thing we stopped when we did. I might try and just like smack that a few times and put a dent in it back the other direction, and I think we'll have an engine that actually runs right. Well, we've got a windage tray in the back, but I don't think that's our problem. I may drop it just to make sure. It's only like 2 bolts, and our pickup screen's a little clogged, so we'll clean that out as well while we're at it. The real issue was up here, right on that corner of the crank. Let me grab a light so you can see. If you look closely, right there, that's where it was rubbing. You can see a corner of it's been flattened, so it kept swinging around and hitting the oil pan. So you can see there's some gasket material, like some orange RTV, that's been used on this engine. So the oil pan had it, the timing cover looks like it has it. So this engine's been apart at some point. So that does confirm that we were right. This engine's been out at least. The inside of this engine, it looks immaculate. Like, it legit looks so clean. You know, I kept suspecting it was rebuilt. Look up in there. There's cross hatching in every cylinder. So that tells me it's been apart, and by golly, it's at least been honed. I'm going to assume bored because it looks really, really clean. And then it might be hard to see up there, but the camshaft looks fantastic. Maybe it could even be aftermarket, but being a 2-barrel, I don't know. But still, I mean, everything inside this engine looks so good. And we almost were like, hey, you know what? Maybe the engine's junk. Let's not even do this. I'm so glad we decided to go ahead and pull the pan and just check it out. You can see the scratch right here, and there's a crease that goes along. It's supposed to kind of be caved out, so I'm going to try and just put some dents in it right here. And try this side. I tried pushing it out just a little further than I guess what it was. That way we can make sure it never ever comes close, but that looks so much better. I mean, it's almost back to the original shape. You can kind of see how it's supposed to be, and well, that's where it was. All right, we're waiting on oil pan gasket, so Briar is gonna go ahead and take the fuel tank out. We're gonna try and save it, but I don't know.
Spinning the whole thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let's try it. It's moving. The bolt and all's moving. While Briar is drilling holes in the trunk locks and getting the gas tank out, I'm gonna take these wheels and tires and go mount some new ones on it. Found some cheapies. We're gonna get this thing to roll. How's it going over here? Oh, you got a big chunk took out of it, don't you?
Might come out.
Might come out. Hopefully we'll get to see what's inside the trunk and see if it's actually any good. He's having to do that because it looks like the bolt kind of goes up through the trunk floor, and we can't really get the bolt to come loose. It just spins. So good luck with that. Oh, that was a good click. That was a really good click. Whoa!
Wow.
We got cylinder heads? Wait a minute. Is that a 4-barrel intake? Or is it 2-barrel? Wait, that's a Ford small block intake. What does that do in here? Well, I guess it was with a bunch of Fords. That's a Ford 2-barrel intake. Aluminum, maybe? And we've got some cylinder heads. Are these nail heads? Oh, and a chainsaw? What the heck am I going to do with that? There's a whole full-size spare. Oh! Yes! Oh, hubcaps, all 4 of them. Oh yeah. Look at that. Ford 6-cylinder parts. Oh, another carburetor.
Oh man.
I could have used that the other day, couldn't I? That brand new fuel filter. Oh heck. Dude, this thing's got a bunch of stuff in it. Maybe because he's like, dude, this thing doesn't leak. We'll just leave it in here. What? Is that a brand new head? Like for a Ford 6-cylinder? Look at that. Looks like it was, this is a brand new head that's been wrapped in plastic. Good job, Briar. What do you think?
Look, that's a lot of stuff.
True words have never been spoken. Look at that original paint too. Man, that looks good. Take inventory of what we got. See what we can and can't use. And
All of it.
yep. Can't use any of this junk. The gas tank is, it's like not rusted through, but it looks terrible. I don't know if it's going to be working or not. And I could not find a reproduction one. So we're going to attempt to clean it out if we can. This bolt you took out on the filler neck. It's stuck. Hang on. I'll pick it up and I'll take it out.
Oh man.
Hold on. Now go.
Crap.
Oh!
Yeah.
Is the trunk floor rusty?
Not bad.
Not bad. It's not through, it's just, well, a couple spots are. That frame rail's not looking too good over there.
Got a little gas.
Does it just slide out from under it?
Well.
Is it a hose?
Yeah.
Where's that go? We might take that one off. That looks like a vent. Or is it the fuel line?
That's the sending unit right there.
Yeah, just slide out, get it out on the floor and slide out from under it, and then we'll drag it out. That way you don't have to be under it any longer if you can get out from under it.
Nice blanket.
Briar, you got the bumper off. Well, it kind of fell off, didn't it?
Yeah, it just fell off.
So you got the fuel tank out. We're going to see if we can salvage that. Don't know if it will be salvageable. The bumper, obviously not salvageable. We don't have one for it, so we're going to leave it like this. It looks better like this than it does with a destroyed bumper. So we're just going to probably paint this. I've got some rust converter paint. We'll just paint that so it matches a little bit better. And then Briar is going to go ahead and start cleaning out the trunk while I work on getting the idler arm fixed. So it's going to look a whole lot better. The trunk floor really doesn't look that bad. I mean, especially once that carpet's cleaned up, this car is going to look really, really good. I mean, it's already changed a whole lot, ain't it?
Oh yeah.
You like it?
It's pretty nice.
Probably my favorite one of the group, don't you?
Yeah, I like it. Black's my favorite color.
Ooh, there you go. Well, here's our issue that's going on with the idler arm. As you can see, the holes that were there, well, they're elongated and the frame's been twisted around. This is how it's supposed to sit. And it looks like there was maybe got loose or something and it started working back and forth. And eventually it had a nut on the inside welded here that it just pulled both of them out. So what I'm probably gonna have to do is I can't get this to be straight. Like, this metal is so thick, I tried hitting it with a hammer and it didn't even budge. So I'm gonna cut this out and then weld in a new piece and put in new threads and everything just so we can start fresh, because the last thing you want is your idler arm coming loose while you're driving it. So I do not want to risk any of that danger. So we'll just, again, cut all this, because this is all warped. All this is bad. And there's nothing I can do with it without really, like, pulling the engine out be the easiest way to do it. This is our old piece of metal, and as you can see, it's seen better days. So instead of trying to mess with this, here's what we got. This is the old engine mount for my 58 Plymouth. I kept it, and it's actually very close to the same thickness. So you can see where I've drawn out the new shape here, and I'm going to cut that out, and then it's flat. We'll make sure it fits nicely, re-drill some holes to make sure the angle's the exact same, weld it in, and I'm hoping that does it. Well, that's what we're working with. It's not perfect. The gaps are a little wide in places, but it's definitely gonna work. If I'd cut it a little better when I cut it out, we wouldn't have this problem. But the main part is it's mounted flush, and I can weld that up. So now that everything's cleaned up, get a nice place to put a ground, we're gonna start tacking it in and hope that it holds. All right. Ugh. Well, it ain't perfect, but it's in there. I'm gonna smooth it out a little bit, maybe weld it up some more in some places, and then we'll try and drill a hole in it, because the problem is where the hole is, it's right on that line where I had to cut it. So I gotta really smooth it out first before I can even do anything else. But it's in there, and by golly, it's looking a whole lot better. There you have it, 2 holes drilled. Got a grade 8 nut in each hole. Just got to weld up around it. You can see I got to fill that in to keep it still. And I might even put a washer around it even still to, you know, really give it some more rigidity. Once that's welded in, we can bolt everything back in, including the oil pan that hasn't been put back in yet because I'm waiting on a gasket. But hey, at least we're getting somewhere. That was a big task right there. Well, there you go. No, it's not perfect, but it's welded in there and it's strong. So that's the most important part. We've got grade 8 hardware, and the frame is no longer junk. Well, at least this side isn't. So I'm gonna test, make sure this thing bolts up in there. It lined up before I put everything and welded it in. So we're gonna try it one more time, hit it with some primer and some black paint to keep from rusting, and then we're good to go. Here we go, it's oil pan time. Had to jack the engine up, loosen the motor mounts. Now let's see if we can wiggle it back in. There we go, it's lined up. I put a little RTV on the gasket just to help it out, and while I waited for that to dry, I went ahead and got our bolts in right here with our idler arm. Got all the tie rod ends and everything tightened back up. Still got to put the sleeves back on, but that looks really good, and it seems to be holding. Everything lined up and bolted in, and our clearance for our oil pan got better. There was a dent. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there was a dent right here. But now you can actually fit in behind here, so it's not rubbing against the pan anymore. So that's good. So everything turned out all right. It's a good thing things were falling apart. But I'll tell you what else happened. While I was cutting this out, I accidentally cut a brake line that went up through here. But it turned out to be a good thing because it was broken in a bunch of other places too. So it's just weird. It's funny how, you know, just things kind of work out the way they do. But now we have an oil pan. We've got all of our steering assembly back in. We're going to fill it up with oil. I think it should be dry now. And we're going to try and start it. And here comes the moment of truth. Oh gosh, the filler cap won't come off for the breather. Okay. Oh, it's twisted, no wonder, idiot. Here, we've got 1040, we got 5 quarts of it. We're gonna hope that our oil pan doesn't leak, and we're gonna hope that our crankshaft doesn't smack into the oil pan. Now I could have tried it before I filled it up with oil. I'm just scared of running it dry because to me it looks like this engine does not have a lot of miles on it. And any second that it doesn't have any oil in a bearing or something like that, I'm just worried that something could be a problem. So I'll eat 40 bucks worth of oil change to not have to worry about a bearing getting spun if I gotta drop the pan again. That's fine with me. Fuel pump is on, oil filter is on, oil change is done, coil's hot, we've got gas and everything. I guess here we go. Let's see if it starts. Oh, it's quiet now. I hear the accelerator pump's working now. Oh, had a wire come off our starter. One sec. It's silent now. You good? It's just running lean, I think. That choke won't stay on. Okay. I think we got like is there like a blown power valve or something? It's running lean and it's all of a sudden just BAM! Combusting. So, I don't know folks, but that thing runs and that's what excites me the most. And it's stone silent, there's not a single sound that you hear. The oil pan, I don't see any leaks. So, that's probably why this car got parked. Because the crank was barely, and I mean barely, touching the oil pan. They put a dent in it somehow. They must have dropped it or something, and they had no idea. But now, this thing runs, it's smooth, it's quiet, and this thing is brand new on the inside, folks. It is awesome. I'm gonna try it one more time, but until then, we've got to rebuild the carburetor. I've got a kit on the way. I'm just really excited right now. We have an accelerator pump. That's like unheard of. I think the carburetor is the weak link right now. It's surging, but it's idling. It needs a little choke, but I'm scared to put my hand up there because I'll get a fireball. It's like a gunshot every time. Let's check the oil pressure. That's with 1040, cold idle. Looking like a little under 60 PSI, cold idle. Huh. We're leaking transmission fluid pretty good. Not sure why. Here, let's get this pan up under there. I'll have to find out where that could be. I think it's just those little junctions that they added in there. They're just not too happy. Folks, let me tell you, changing an oil pan in a car, it's not fun. I'll just put it that way. It's not the most fun thing in the world to do, but this thing, like, it idles decently. I think with the carburetor rebuild, when that kit gets here, this thing is going to be pretty sound and solid. It smoothed out, it got quiet, we had great oil pressure. The carburetor is just a weak link at this point, but I am excited now. This thing is so cool. I love this car more and more. The more I mess with it, the more cool it gets. So we've still got a lot of stuff left to do. We've got to get the tires put on. We got to go for the brakes, fix a brake line, some kind of fuel system that's a little bit more permanent, and drive it. We got to clean it up too, because this thing's nasty. As you can see, it could really use a good cleaning up. Ooh. Man, it got a little wild in here for a minute there. I mean, for a second, I got a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. Pulling the oil pan off, having holes cut in the frame, man, I just like, I don't know how this is gonna turn out. Thankfully, it seems like everything's back together. The car is running and it actually idles pretty smooth. I'm excited for that. I can't wait to take it on the road, but that's gonna have to happen in part 2. So make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on the next episode, because this is gonna be so much fun. Also, don't forget, the Facebook link for that car show is in the description, September 9th. And on top of that, Challenger t-shirts. Don't miss the pre-order. After July 31st, they're gone again. Don't know when they'll come back, but I want you guys not to miss out. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you come back for part 2, and I will see you in the next one.